A few months after my mother had passed away from ovarian cancer, my father met a younger woman. I had returned to uni and wasn't around to keep my dad company. To feel less lonely, father would go down to the local bar and have a few drinks with his mates. This became a daily ritual. I, being the understanding daughter, knew that in time, father would eventually meet someone else that made him happy again. This happened much earlier than I had anticipated, but I wasn't one to complain. After graduating from uni, my father eventually introduced his girlfriend to me. Those ritual afternoons of drinking at the local bar resulted in him meeting his girlfriend, who was working as waitress there. I had seen pictures of her in his phone, and no, I wasn't snooping around. I was helping him install an app, and unbeknown to him, had come across her pictures accidentally. I didn't approach my father about this, but knew, in his own time, he would tell me about her himself. I wouldn't call our family rich, but we have always been comfortable. I had been to private schools all my life, went to boarding school overseas, school holidays were always spent in another country, etc. Living a comfortable lifestyle, I had iPhones, iMacs, brand makeup, designer labels, expensive perfumes, etc. I was never spoilt, but most things were gifts from family and friends. I had a wonderful upbringing, but was raised in a way not to ever look down on anyone else. Now, I am not one to judge, but I knew right from the start that she was the epitome of a gold digger. There were a few things about her that had irritated my friends and family about her, but I never really saw as an issue. She was very young. My dad was 51, she was 18. I was 19. Not a big issue. She was from a lower social class. I never had a problem with this. She partied, smoked, and drank. Heck, I did the same, but to a lesser amount. A few months into meeting her, 3 months after I had graduated from uni, her behaviors were starting to tick me off. She would be out all weekends for parties, would come home, cook up a storm, and leave the house, from the kitchen to the bathroom in a complete mess. Because I hadn't found a job yet, I was living with my dad temporarily. I didn't mind cleaning up after her, but after having to do it every day, that's when I got irritated. Thankfully, I was successful in getting a job and shifted to a city, 4 hours drive away. It was such a huge relief to get away from her. Every long weekend, I would travel up to see Dad and make sure he was okay. But that was when the comparison started. Any time I had received anything as a gift from Dad, or he had helped me purchase anything, she would always say, "Why did you buy this for her and didn't buy for me?" Or something similar to, "Why does she get that and I don't?" These constant comparisons were ticking me off. But as always, I never made an issue out of it, but kept my mouth shut. Because she was the life of the party and a social butterfly, she never had the time to stay home or do any sort of cleaning around the house. She failed in her studies that my father had paid, and chose instead to spend her weekends drinking and entertaining her multiple boyfriends that she had kept hidden from my father. After my father had complained about the state of the house being messy, she then suggested to my father that they should employ one of her female cousins as a housemaid because she was struggling. My father agreed, and her cousin became our housemaid. House was cleaner, but her behavior was still the same. My father, being a managing director of an exporting company, was always away on international business trips. His girlfriend took these opportunities to invite her multiple boyfriends over to the house. At one stage, my father had gotten very ill. She lacked any sense of empathy, instead continued partying and drinking, and only came home and saw my father when she had run out of money. Keep in mind that by this time, my dad had bought her countless smartphones, iPhones and Samsung, laptops, took her overseas for holidays, and showered her with expensive gifts, and also paid for tertiary education. Twice. And she still failed both. All during this time, I had been in a relation with my boyfriend for a year, and she had tried to ruin that relationship as well, spreading lies to people and feeding my father with misleading stories about him, none of which were true. BF and I are 5 years strong. Still, she eventually sacked her own cousin, our housemaid, panicking that the housemaid would dob her in about the boyfriends that she had brought home while my father was out of country. It was during one of my father's business trips that she took his luxury car and drove drunk to one of her boyfriend's house and ended up crashing the car. After numerous attempts of trying to tell my dad to get out of this toxic relationship, this event proved to be the turning point of the relationship. My father called quits on the relationship there and then, and advised me to cut all connections with her. I happily did so, not that there was any strong connection to begin with, but it was karma that had the final say. She went straight into a relationship with one of her boyfriends. He became violent towards her, and the great lifestyle she had experienced with my father was now a thing of the past. And to top things off, my father ended up marrying her cousin the maid, while she is now struggling to get a steady job and find another relationship that was as fulfilling as the one she had with my father. Side note, I hope I didn't come across as the bitter daughter, but it was more of a concern for my father that he had rushed in too fast with this relationship and with the wrong person. I am now happy with his second wife and have been blessed with the most adorable baby brother. And to be honest, my father is the happiest I have ever seen him. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.